This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Praveena. She is a certified mental health and awareness practitioner, a writer, board member of Malaysia Mental Health Association, engineer, academician, a researcher, animal activist, and a speaker as well. So this is my brief introduction to Praveena, but the full bio will be at the end of this video. And as I mentioned to her before we started recording, I have these open warm up questions, as I always do from all my guests. And the topic today, specific before we dive into the topic, which is reframing reflections, life and healing beyond parental narcissism. So, my opening questions, I guess the first one that comes to mind, which is one that I ask all my guests, is who are Praveena in her own words?
Praveena is a thriver,
Yeah.
a person who has undergone lots of things in life, challenges, ups and downs,
Yeah.
and thrived all through it.
Right.
And currently very much in love with herself.
Haha, that's beautiful. Within the topic of narcissism, will be. I can't wait to ask those questions, deeper questions. Um, Another open question is: what inspired you to become who you are today and to do what you do, Pravina?
Personal life experiences, Valeria.
Yeah,
Mainly because of that, and I've realized that many people are actually going through the situation that I was in a few
yeah,
years ago. And since I have found a breakthrough,
yeah,
I'm actually very much excited and thrilled to share this breakthrough with many others out there.
yeah.
Because if the path is open, when the clarity is obtained, it is so simple to navigate through it. It is
Right.
all within us. And
Mm,
that's why I'm here doing what I do,
yeah,
mainly because of these personal experiences. And without guidance, it's a little bit tough.
yeah.
Yet,
That's
if you
true.
have someone out there to to guide you along, it'll
Mm.
be much easier.
That's true. I love what you said that the answers, everything's within, we find within. But it is much easier when we have guidance of other people who have been there and then to guide us through our own answers. It's really beautifully said. Another open question is about the purpose of the human experience. What do you feel that is?
The purpose of the human experience, wow, that's deep.
Yeah,
It is what it is. Whatever that we are going through, we have been through, we are going to go through, past, present, future, it
yeah,
is what it is.
mm,
Every life experiences that we have gone through carries a certain meaning behind it. But it
yeah,
is not our duty to ponder the past, to overthink.
yeah,
The idea is to just let it be, experience the moment, experience the present moment, be in
yeah.
the now, and
Mm.
just go through with it.
Yes. I love that answer. And I have to say that's one that I have found many, many years ago. And it's well known within the spiritual, let's say, circles. We all know be in the moment, in the now. It's just not easy to do it. We all try really hard. And then by trying, it's almost like we get away from the placeless place we're supposed to be because we are always dwelling in some sort of mental content. It could be anything, inspiration. It could be even coming from the spiritual mind, something that's beautiful that takes us away from this moment that we feel it's uncomfortable or we want to push away or be away from. So, have you found a way of always being in the moment? Is yeah, I would love to hear if you have found a practice. What do you do to be present? And are you present all the time?
If I say yes, then that would be a lie because I haven't gone through that spiritual level of experience yet. But I have learned to manage my thoughts and emotions. The
Yeah,
mental strength is building up in that sense.
right,
Um,
right.
The main thing is probably to remove this emotional, I mean, this negative thoughts.
Yeah.
That was the main thing that I needed to cut off.
Right.
So being in the present moment simply means catching that thought. I love to use
Mm,
this phrase a lot.
mm,
Whenever or during a certain situation, a scenario,
yeah.
if something goes way beyond, there's a lot of negative talk, or trying to perceive a situation where it's not what it is.
Yes.
That's when you catch the thought, and then you come to the present moment. So it is not being empty all the time. I'm unable to do that because there's a lot of things,
Yeah.
daily life we have to do a lot of things, and the mastery of mind is a lifelong journey.
That's true.
So whenever
True.
anything negative comes in, then you catch the thought and you come
Mm,
back.
mm. Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So catch the thought would be to be aware of those negative thoughts, just aware, or actually do something about them. Do something in a sense of trying to push them away, getting into some, let's say, action, inspired action, a meditation. So, what does it mean to catch your thoughts?
Perceiving a situation in a negative manner,
Yeah.
judgmental, being thinking ahead of a situation that has just happened without any meaning to it, but we put a lot of meaning, right? Our mind,
Yes.
it tends to put a lot of meaning to it. It's probably just a word, and the
Yeah.
word comes
It's true.
into reality in our mind. It
True.
forms a sort of a monster kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So when that happens, catch that thought in the sense that stop thinking
Mm,
that way.
mm,
Active questioning is something that I also practice. You should be able, instead of asking outside, I mean, asking external questions to answer your doubts and curiosity is one thing,
yeah.
but many of us fail to master the active questioning within, asking the self, why am I thinking this way?
Right.
Why am I doing this? Stop.
Mm, mm,
So I have been able to make myself empty in that sense, but sometimes it's not that easy. So initial
right.
stages, what I do is to distract my attention. Just tell myself to stop. You see, the biggest mastery, Valeria, is to be able to control ourselves first.
Yes, that is so true.
If we are unable to control ourselves, our mind, our thoughts, our speech, if it's not aligned,
Yeah.
it is
Mm,
very difficult to align our life with the abundance around us.
that's
We are
so true.
unable to see that.
Yeah.
So maybe the first step would be to distract yourself. Stop the thought,
Yeah.
distract, and say, has that happened? Is this really true?
Yeah.
Ask yourself a few times. Is it absolutely true?
Mm,
If it's not, then don't bother.
yeah.
You have to stop torturing that mind.
That is so true. It's almost like we are coming from two different kinds of minds. Like I tend to think about the spiritual mind and then the egotistic mind. Um, which is really egoic mind in a sense. It's really related to storytelling, of course, belief systems, and but it has everything to do with the body. So it's very it's the belief system that we are the body and we are finite, that this will end one day. So it's very limited. And then I feel the spiritual mind is a lot more open. It can kind of it taps into the questions that you just mentioned. It's very curious and it's always asking questions about whatever happens. Instead of judging the situation, it kind of steps back, creates that gap, and then asks questions. That has been my experience with my own practices. Do you have any? I know you are a certified mental health and awareness practitioner. Are they your work based on spirituality somehow, or you would say scientific only?
A mixture of both.
Yeah.
If awareness is spirituality, which I believe it is, then
Yes.
spirituality it is. Because
Yeah.
scientific notions, yes, it's always good to know that certain technicalities, the jargon terms behind narcissism and things like that. Yes, I've studied that extensively out of curiosity.
Yeah.
But in order to apply that in life,
Yeah.
you have to be aware, and awareness
Yeah.
comes from some sort of a spirituality. I wouldn't say I'm a spiritual master in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I'm still very, very much normal and caught up with my mundane task all the day long.
Yes.
But there must be a certain level and aspect of spirituality. In fact, in my life, spirituality,
Yeah.
last time, due to ignorance, I would have named it some god, or
Yeah.
some name to it. But now I
Yeah.
totally understand that it is spirituality at work,
Mm.
and
Yes.
everybody has access to this.
Right.
Are we ready to accept it?
Hmm.
That's the question.
That's beautiful. Accept the invitation to go deeper into whatever it is. So when it comes to feelings, emotions, and situations we find ourselves in, when I see unhappiness or lack confusion and all that, so why not go deeper into it to find out why, the why, and then of course we get to the how later. But I love finding going deeper to understand why, and that to me is spiritual. So I do consider what you do and so many of my guests spiritual work of helping yourself and others. It's beautiful. So another question I have for you, the opening questions, we'll almost get uh, into the topic of reframing reflections, which has to do with parental narcissism. But before that, another question: what is, from your perspective, what is freedom? How do you see this concept of freedom?
Freedom is the liberation of mind, Valeria. When the mind is liberated, when we stop setting boundaries to the amount of thoughts that we have,
Yeah,
that restrictions that we have, and this is right, this is wrong. When we stop giving
mm,
meaning to each and everything that we
yeah,
experience in life,
huh.
I believe that would be total freedom. It's the liberation of the mind.
Wow. Yeah, that, I mean, of course, lots of meditators would really absolutely jump into it. Yes, the liberation of the mind. And I just wonder what it looks like. And then you just said setting, just being, uh, not being confined to boundaries, not even meaning to. That's very powerful in that sense because that's storytelling. So, and I wonder if that could happen. Do you feel that one day we can get to that point of liberating the mind, um, to that extent of just being present and open to whatever it is without any meaning, without any stories or belief systems? Is that actually possible?
It is definitely possible, but awareness comes in first. It's always
Mm,
awareness, understanding, acceptance, awareness. All this comes in that package.
yeah.
Only if people tend to dedicate time to themselves,
Yes.
which many of us do not do, simply because of the norms of the society. I'm not saying that we should not have rules and
Right.
policies and procedures, but if you're only able to understand yourself and stop analyzing, giving meaning, and putting a restriction to it,
Yeah.
that's when slowly this awareness comes in. This thought comes in.
That's
It,
true.
it is possible for everyone to attain this. It's just that how willing are they? Just like I mentioned earlier, if they're willing to understand themselves first. This
Yes.
is actually the first thing that we need to do, Valeria.
Yeah.
Many of us do not do that.
Yeah, that's, I would say so too. Yeah, that's the first step. Self knowledge, self awareness, self understanding. Yes, yes. Um, what's the goal? Actually, that was the question I have here programmed in my paper. But would that be the same as the goal of healing when you just talked about freedom? So all the healing work that we do would lead us to this place of freedom, as you just described, or to a different place.
Yes, exactly. Your question is spot on. Your answer, the one that you gave me, was spot on. This is the very fundamental to healing.
Yeah.
Simply because if you do not understand yourself, if you're not able to comprehend what exactly you are made of,
Mm,
not in the sense of a scientific term like subatoms and things like that, it's not that. It's
yeah,
just what is the fundamental, what is you, who are you?
yeah,
I like to ask this question, who am
yeah,
I always ask this to myself.
yeah,
Only then you open the path to complete
mm,
healing.
yeah. Wow, that's so true. The other day I asked this question to everybody, all my guests, all of them without exceptions. And I remember asking somebody recently, who are you? And oh, I said her name. And then she said something about changing. We are constantly changing. So I'm not something that can be pinned down because there's influences genetically. My mind has changed so much. So I am pretty much, she said, I am change. But then we were talking and she said exactly that. You have to find out who you are. Then I asked her, so how do we know who we are if we are constantly changing, as you mentioned? But it's not the understanding you have, right, Praveena? That like if you were to say, who are we? If I'm not asking you the question who you are, but who are we as humanity? All this, what is this? Like, what are we or who are we? What would you say?
Who are we? Who am I?
Yeah,
I am a form of energy. I am a form of manifestation. I am abundance.
yeah.
That would be the, probably in
Mm,
my understanding. And yes, we
yeah,
are constantly changing and evolving. I wouldn't change is the law of life.
right. Mm,
But
yeah,
in that paradigm shift,
yeah.
we are there flowing in that motion.
Mm,
Yet it's that form of energy that we are unique to our own selves, isn't it, Valeria?
yes.
But yet we are able to blend in that change. So this is something that is, I would say, to my humble knowledge, it's beyond my comprehension.
Mm,
I won't be able to give you a correct answer
yeah,
in this. But what I know is I am an abundant being.
yeah,
And when I am abundant, I am able to absorb this very moment.
yeah,
This I'm rooted here, I'm talking to you, I am able to hold
yeah,
myself, hold my thought, be in this conversation present fully,
yeah.
and I'm able to accept whatever that comes in.
Mm,
That presence is very, very important.
yeah,
Probably to experience all this, who are we and things like that,
yeah.
is to be able to quieten our mind first.
Mm,
And when
mm,
we are able to do that, the
yeah,
abundance that the so-called God, or that
yeah.
that 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 abundant universe will
Mm,
speak to us directly.
mm. Yes, beautifully said. Yes. Yeah, using different words. Yeah, that's what my understanding of self would go exactly into. You just said presence, abundance, right? It's limitless, it's infinite. That's my understanding of what we are, not who, but what. Yes, and it can be anything. It's now being all this, you, me, this microphone, and everything else here. So it's really truly wonderful, isn't it, when we get to know that, huh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So, going back to the topic of reframing reflections, life and healing beyond parental narcissism. So, to introduce the topic, I guess the very first question is, what is narcissism and what is parental narcissism?
Okay. Narcissism is simply a person who is very much self obsessed. So, when you asked me my introduction, who am
Yeah.
I told you that I'm very much in love with myself.
Yeah.
Yes. But the thing is, everybody should be in love with
Mm,
themselves. I mean, if not you, who else?
mm,
If not me, if not I, who else is there? But
yeah.
the thing with narcissism is they are very much self obsessed, yes, but they lack empathy.
Mm,
When you love yourself, Your
Yeah.
love radiates and you give love to others.
Yeah.
So you see, the point comes in when you start loving yourself, that's when you are able to radiate that love and you give it to
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Narcissism has a problem there. They
Uh,
love
uh,
themselves too much. It's more like a love hate situation.
yeah.
It's not exactly very much in love with themselves, if you ask me. They
Right.
are probably trying to prove themselves.
Uh,
But in
yeah.
that process, they lack empathy and they are willing to do anything and everything within their manner to stop others from growing,
Wow.
or to, yes, and to stop showing this kind of compassion to others. They are unable to do so,
Yeah. Wow.
sadly.
Yeah, it is sad. This would be parental narcissism is just parents who are narcissists.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And the reason why this is being highlighted is simply because
Yeah.
narcissism is a fad word. Everybody
Yeah.
speaks about narcissism. Everybody says that we call each other narcissists, we label each other narcissists easily. But the
Right.
thing is, what exactly is narcissism? And especially if you're a parent and you're a narcissist, the inability to show that love and compassion to your child, to your
Yeah.
dependent,
Yeah.
is on a different level.
Right.
And the receiver, the
Mm.
victim, they are unable to do anything about it.
Right.
It's so difficult for them to even recognize that whether this is normal or not until at a certain point of a time in their life.
Yeah.
And if they are
Wow.
unable to kick out of it, it's going to be a lifelong trauma, and they don't even know why are they like that.
Yeah, right. Um, that is sad, and I suspect that there has been my experience in the human experience as a child. I remember very much. I think because I have studied, have read a lot, and talked to a lot of people about this, and it really feels like that was my experience, being traumatized for life because of this. I'm not 100% sure because that would be my mother. She was never diagnosed with narcissism, personality disorder, but who knows? It really, I highly suspect. Was this also your own experience, Praveena? Your own personal experience?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
very much my own personal experience. I'm adopted,
yeah,
so in this human terms, yes, adopted.
yeah,
But so growing up, I was taught to be grateful. Grateful is a beautiful word, Valeria. Please don't get
yeah,
me wrong.
yeah, yeah.
If it's misused, then
Mm,
it can become
mm,
a
mm.
double-edged sword here.
Yeah, yeah,
Grateful, appreciation,
yes,
and that's used as a weapon against you to
sure.
control your thoughts and action.
Yes,
And
yeah,
and what happens
mm,
is that you grow up fearful.
yeah,
You
yeah,
grow up questioning God for all the wrong reasons.
right,
So
yeah,
when I in my environment growing up, parents are supposed to be godlike. This
yes,
is what that has been instilled in me.
right,
And godlike is a term. How do we treat godlike people?
mm,
Do we have an answer? What do we do with them?
yeah,
So in my case, it's always the exaggerated version.
yeah,
You never say anything. You
yeah,
practically your life revolves around their moods.
right, right, right,
Their so you have to adjust your
mm,
way of thinking, your way of speech
yeah,
to fit their needs and desires.
right,
Every morning when you wake up, you'll have to think a few
mm,
times, how
mm,
am I going to navigate this day? And
mm,
this happened to me at a very, very young age.
yeah,
Every morning you wake up and you think, okay, if I say this, mom will not get angry. If I say that, this will happen. And you
right,
never know. Sometimes the best of the days, and suddenly towards the end, there will be a fight or something chaotic, and I'll be blamed for it for
right,
no apparent reason.
right,
So it becomes parenting the parent from a very young age
right,
to be able to cater their moods, their disorders, their ups and downs, and to constantly try to make them happy was
yeah,
my life's mission
yeah,
since young. And it is
wow,
not. not an. It becomes a little bit of a mental fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
At
Yeah.
that moment, you may not realize what is going on. You feel very tired, not physically, but mentally.
Yes.
So you have lots of thoughts, and
Right.
lots of negative talk, self talk.
Right. Yeah, I have to say that first, I'm sorry for what you went through. It has been
Oh,
my
don't.
experience too. And I really tried not to. I remember the first stage was once I recognized that I was parenting my parents and tried to make them feel good all the time, especially my mother, as I said earlier. So that, and then the next stage was the victimhood kind of mentality. So I thought I was the victim of that situation. How come God allowed that to happen? And I remember being very confused about this whole thing. Um, it is very sad. In a question that I have for you, I guess, about that is, do usually children like myself and you, do they tend to become also narcissist? They have that inclination. Could they become? It's easier for them to become narcissists as well and become almost like our own parents, or what prevents us to be like them, to become a narcissist?
Okay, so let me answer your first question. Is there a tendency?
Yeah,
Yes, there is a tendency. So there's two ways of coping here.
yeah,
One, you become a people pleaser.
yeah,
So we coin the term empathy.
yeah.
We call ourselves empaths.
Right.
Something like an obsession. If I have to sacrifice my life,
Yeah.
or I have to sacrifice for this person, because
Mm.
this person is in pain.
Yeah.
See, this person is in pain. So you
Yeah.
become an empath, you become a people pleaser. That's one way.
Yeah.
Another way is you are constantly trying to prove yourself.
Mm.
Whatever you can't get this validation at home, you seek the validation outside. So
Yes.
you become very arrogant and boastful, and you
Yeah.
try to compensate for that mistreatment that you have received at home. So
Right.
you can become two different extremes. So the next question, how do we prevent ourselves from being a narcissist?
Yeah.
Exactly like what you asked earlier, the answer lies within your question. How do we prevent ourselves from being narcissists? First, you have to know that you're a narcissist. Or do you have
Mm.
narcissistic tendencies? A
Yeah.
narcissist will not question themselves that, am I a narcissist? No,
Ah.
it doesn't work that way.
Ah.
Awareness. That's where
Ah.
awareness comes in.
Right.
And spirituality creeps
Yeah.
in that way.
Wow, that's amazing. The things that we go through in this human experience, and more amazing to me, I know the sufferings almost there's no ending to suffering or how much we can suffer, but then also there's the other side, how wonderful it is to find out the reason why we suffer. Like I couldn't do anything as a child, you couldn't do anything, so many of us couldn't do anything, but now we can, and that's beautiful. When it comes to that deep understanding of spirituality, we can do something now. I can be happy now. Why not? I know the mind sometimes brings all those thoughts back, and it's even a conversation like this. I'm thinking about the past. The mind's kind of focusing on the past, and there's a little bit of nothing heavy, but it's there's that awareness of that this body mind went through that. So it's interesting to kind of be in touch with those feelings too, because I try not to push anything away. Yeah, do you want to add anything to that? I know you talked about self-love, that they love themselves, but that's different than selfishness, right? So I talk a lot about self-love too. It's one of my practices, but it's coming from a different perspective, of course.
So, one thing that I need to add to your statement is suffering.
Yeah.
How do we define suffering?
Mm,
Everything we give a meaning to it,
yes. True.
isn't it?
Praveena. Yeah. Mm,
If we are able to accept our life experiences in the past as something that we had to go through, and not just not give a meaning to it, the
yeah.
question comes in, why suffering happens, if you don't mind me defining suffering, is because we give a meaning to it. I've
Mm,
suffered a lot. I'm the
yeah.
victim here. I've suffered.
Yeah.
Why? So I can ask these questions as well. So I asked the universe, the God at that time. That was my only solace, because I was a child. I didn't know what to do. I
Yes.
asked, why me? Why?
Yeah.
Why must I go through all this? What, sometimes the days are so bad, Valeria.
Yeah.
I would just sit there and ask God, if you are here, why can't there be a lightning that just struck this lady and take her away if you're so powerful?
Yeah.
I mean, it may sound a bit harsh, but
Yeah.
even at that age, the pressure was just so much. You had to put some sort of a ridiculous request like that. But
Yeah.
of course, nothing happened.
Yes.
I did not
Yes.
see that kind of magic and things. But the thing is, now when we come to it and we say we are suffering and all, it's just a meaning. It's just some sort of a life experience that we had to go through. If we don't give a meaning to that situation, you will see that
Mm.
everything teaches us something.
Yeah.
There must be a reason. But why? Why me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And what if it happens to me? It's all right.
Yeah.
You have to come to that acceptance. It's all right. It's all
Uh,
right.
yeah. I love
The more
that.
you keep on questioning, the
Mm.
more you're torturing yourself. This is where self-love is neglected.
That's true. That's so true. When you say the question about must there be a reason for this to happen, the suffering, I mean, not the suffering. You're right about the suffering being related to meaning that we assign to whatever it is we went through, but just the happening, just the events. I believe that too. This just happening, but I don't know when it comes to a reason, I remember being very much attached to the idea that there was a reason, there was evolution, spiritual growth or something. Now, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel that it's just life being life and everything is possible. It's just possibilities. And if you are born um, in a household with parents that are dysfunctional, that are not in harmony, they don't have the let's say they don't have these guiding principles of love, of peace, of true happiness, then of course that would happen. They will affect the environment in a negative way. There's anything you want to add about with everything that was said just now, Pravina? Because I have another number two, something else to move on to. But there's anything else here that you wanted to close with?
Yeah, so just to reiterate, so there must be a reason behind it. I told you about
Yeah,
that, right? But
yeah,
the quest is to not find out what the reason is, to just let it
yes,
be. So
right,
you have summarized it very, very beautifully.
yes.
So when I try to self-talk and say there must be a reason why I've gone through it, but is it my duty to find out what the reason
Mm,
is?
mm,
It's not.
mm.
Let it
Yeah.
be.
Yes.
And what if there's a reason, there's karma? I don't
Mhm.
know whether the law
Right.
of karma is true or not. I don't know, and I don't care. I've
Mm.
never seen my past life. I don't know what
Yeah.
my past was.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
look so much into that unknown, that fear of this unknown that we have
Yeah.
actually hinders us from doing so many things in this lifetime.
Yeah.
This very moment that we are living in, we bound ourselves to so many meanings,
Yeah.
and we just fail to enjoy the very moment.
That's it. Yeah. What's happened here now? Yes. Mm. Yes. I absolutely agree. And to me, that's highly spiritual. I have to say, bringing back spirituality into the conversation. So, I guess the next step, I know I have the guiding, I have a guide, I call guided outline here. So, the nature of parental narcissism. So, the concept in the impact on children. So, I guess we already talked about this way it impact us and how we ended up feeling. So, how do we know? When for that's for children, really that would be wonderful for them to know at a young age that they are being that they have narcissist parents. But is that really possible? How do they, what age is appropriate for them to start asking those questions and looking into these deeper understandings of their own environment?
At what age?
Yeah.
Interesting. At an age when you come to a realization that my life is not normal.
Yeah.
there's something wrong somewhere. When the quest comes in,
Yeah.
that would be the right age for you to find the right answer.
Mm. Mm.
In my case, I kind
Yeah.
of called myself being matured early, because
Yeah.
when we had to do this parenting our parent,
Yeah.
we obviously learn many other things faster
Right.
than normal kids do.
True.
So the realization came. I wouldn't know how to coin the exact term, but probably during my primary days, I was already thinking. I'm a bookworm. If
Yeah.
I told you about the quest of being proving my parents wrong, I had to prove myself. So that's when I
Yeah.
indulged into
Yeah.
lots and lots of books and things. And the question of all these questions that I do not have right now, I used to
Yeah.
have it at that age. Why? Why am I
Yeah.
going through this? What is wrong? Is there something
Right.
wrong? You tend to ask. So the right age would be the moment you start asking yourself all this,
Mhm.
and the healing happens when you want to get out of it.
Yes. So true. Ah, that is so true. And when you have the courage, finally, it was my case too. And I had to leave at around 16 after I graduated from high school because I had to wait to have that certification to get the job. But that is so true. So it's when we realize that we are in a very unhappy situation that's not really a normal one per se. It's not a natural one. And what are the signs? That's actually the part of the question too. What are the signs, Praveena? How do we, once we realize, okay, there's something wrong here, so what to look for?
For the victim, I would call the person.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking at for the victim, right?
I was thinking about we are looking for the parents and the signs that they are displaying that are
Mm,
unhealthy. That's what I was trying to
okay.
ask.
So the signs of a narcissistic parent:
Yes.
extremely self-obsessed, imposing their ambitions and thoughts and actions onto their children, wanting the
Yeah.
child to be a carbon copy of themselves,
Yeah.
belittling each and every achievement
Mm,
that the child has created for themselves,
yeah.
wanting to steal the spotlight, sorry,
Yeah.
wanting to be included in each and every achievement, or anything that is small in the child's life must be attributed to the parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can be abusive
Mm,
physically, also mentally, but narcissism, in my opinion and my personal experience working with clients, is always the mental abuse that's hard to come out with.
yeah.
The physical is still acceptable to a certain extent,
Yeah.
but the mental abuse is that vicious cycle that we need to break through.
Right.
So that's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
They are just wanting to have complete control of the child's life,
Yeah.
to not be able to let go, to not be able to love wholeheartedly. There's two
Yeah.
types of love: conditional and unconditional. Love is love,
Yeah.
but when you expect, it becomes a transaction.
Yes. True.
So, narcissism's
True.
love is more of a business, it's
Ah,
more of a transaction.
yeah. Wow.
Parents, yeah, narcissistic parents.
I'm wondering that control, when you say the word control, trying to control the other, does it have to do with the feeling of lack of control themselves? Do they feel out of control, out of of their emotions, of their lives? I mean, I get a sense that for you to feel like you have to control somebody else's life or in whatever way, you got to be feeling out of control yourself somewhat. Does it make sense, Praveena?
To get into the narcissistic mind, the narcissist's
Yeah,
mind, whether they are out of control of themselves, probably it could be a grounding mechanism,
yeah,
where if they have everybody in check, under control, under
right,
their
yeah,
thumb,
Yeah.
They have their life in control.
I.
Maybe when it's off, when they cannot hold those
Mm,
people around them. So
yeah.
we also have a term called flying monkey, the victim, and things like that. So
Right.
if you have all these pawns in surrounding you,
Right.
they are probably they probably feel that their life has a meaning to it. I
Um.
actually do not know how to dive into the narcissist mind.
Right.
I
Right.
really do not know what my mother thinks until now or what my father thinks until now,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so complex. If I
Yeah.
get into that
Mm.
web, I will have a difficulty coming out of it.
That's true. Not a good idea. I agree. I absolutely agree. I gave up on that. I believe I did try to dive into their minds to understand. I guess understanding to dispel like the, I don't know, the pain, some of the pain. Like, oh, why you did this to me? Now I know why, so it feels somewhat better. I do have a friend that went through this. Her mother was a full-blown narcissist. Oh my God, two of them. They are together. They're two friends who live together. So it's sad to see that she's now 50. I think she's 55, and she's still like almost with that, let's say, that wounded, traumatized child mind. She's still looking for the mind, trying to figure out her mother's mind. Her mother's still alive, so in close to her. So she's always studying narcissism, psychopathy, and all those things. And she kind of, it makes her feel better, I guess. That is also it might be a mechanism of relief. I don't know. I just see her doing that, and I see clearly that her mother is a full blown narcissist from that sense. She just need to be diagnostic, but definitely she shows all the signs, and I see her child doing that, like looking for relief in understanding how her mind, the mother's minds work. And I guess, as I just mentioned, I guess that's it could help, right, Pravina? It could help initially, but then they have to come to the point of letting it go and focusing on their own hearts and on their own selves. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, you have said that very, very beautifully. I was just about to say something along those lines.
Yeah,
So I have introduced a method called the UAE method. It's under my framework, the Narcissistic Victim Empowerment Technique
yeah,
framework.
yeah.
So it starts with the UAE method, which is understanding, acceptance, and empathize, or
Mm,
empathy in that sense.
yeah.
So what your friend is going through right now is to try to understand the
Mm,
situation, understanding this disorder, what's happening with my mom's mind, and things like that.
yeah,
But maybe if you meet your friend and you would like to give her an advice, a word or two,
yeah.
is to understand narcissism is one thing, but do not understand your mother's mind.
Mm,
What you need to do is
mm.
understand your mind.
Yes, that's enough. That's enough work.
That's exactly. There's a
Yes.
lot of work in understanding ourselves first. Why am I trying to research about what is in my mother's mind? Do
Yes.
I know what is in my mind right now?
Yes, yeah,
When
yeah,
you ask questions like that, it will be hilarious because you
uh,
will get all sorts of
yeah,
answers. I'm trying to find solace.
yeah.
Solace is in
Mm.
your mother's mind or
Mm.
in your mind,
Yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
So once you
Either.
start questioning, you stop there. So understanding is done.
Yeah,
Next, when you start that solace process, finding solace within,
yes,
you will be able to accept the situation.
yes.
And the third would be UAE, right?
Yeah,
E would be empathy or
yeah,
empathize.
yeah.
I will always stress this out. Some people do not agree with me. They have come to a we had a debate also some time ago when I say empathy and forgiveness starts within,
Mm. Yeah,
then you can extend it out to others.
true.
The person says that no, you have to forgive others to forgive yourself. It doesn't work that way, Valeria.
Mm. Yeah,
In the so-called spirituality, the
yeah.
main being is us.
Right.
If you look into in that context, if you say in this human mind, when we
Yeah,
say forgiveness begin with us,
yeah.
some people may coin it as narcissism.
Mm.
That's not narcissism. When you're able to accept, when you're able to empathize with yourself, forgive yourself fully,
Yeah.
the rate you will exhibit a sort of an energy, Valeria, where people can see that you are calm within,
Yes.
and that radiates.
That's true.
When you're able to do that, this wavelength, this frequency,
Yeah.
I did not study this, but by practicing this, I realized that when I am calm,
Yeah.
when I am in love with myself, and when I speak to people, people somehow rather align to what I say,
Yeah.
and
True.
it works.
Yeah.
And there's no need for us to study this behind. I mean, study what's the science behind it.
Right.
The science behind this whole thing is we are all in this one wavelength.
Hmm.
Only when we are able to come into acceptance with ourselves, to
Yeah.
empathize, to forgive ourselves, to stop torturing this mind of ours with a lot of questions,
Right.
when we are able to empathize with ourselves, forgive, and let it be.
Right.
When you speak to people, you radiate that
Yeah.
energy.
True.
I believe you would have seen some people who have actually come to,
Yeah.
they are able to have that self mastery of themselves, that mind mastery. When you speak to them, there's some sort of a different energy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you feel so calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where all these things lie. So the UAE method is what
Yeah.
I've come up with. Empathize with yourself first.
Yes.
Stop. Done with the research. I know. Okay, my mother has this. It's all right. It's who she is.
Right.
All I can do is try to change myself.
Hmm.
That's not even the right word. Try to be with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that approach, and really, it's one that makes sense to me. That definitely reflects the idea of empowerment, because victimhood, it kind of takes away that we feel powerless. Is the opposite when we always blame others for the way we feel. So yeah, that's exactly it. Interesting to, I guess, a comment that I want to make, a question that arises is, when you talk about empathy, like self empathy and self forgiveness, are we forgiving ourselves for the lack of understanding, for not being, let's say, mature enough to understand what was happening? So yeah, what are we forgiving ourselves for in this situation, specific situation with the narcissistic parents?
That's a very good question. What are we forgiving ourselves for? Lack of maturity is the process of evolution. We
Yeah.
were a child, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Where does maturity come in? That's also a question. So when we ask these questions, there'll be more questions coming in.
Yeah.
Why can't we just forgive ourselves and not ask any more questions? Forgive ourselves for asking so many questions.
Yes, that too. Yes. Yeah.
So when we say, okay, I'm not going to ask you
Yes.
anything anymore, it's fine. I forgive
So
myself
true.
for asking so many questions. I'm not going
Mm.
to ask you anything anymore. You're
Yeah.
speaking to yourself, and
Yeah.
that's it,
Yeah.
right? It stops there.
Yeah.
This questioning process of questions, never ending answers, or never ending doubts that we have also
Yeah.
creates some sort of,
Mm.
all this steals our present moment, Valeria.
Yes. Yes. For sure.
All these questions,
Yeah.
instead of asking these questions, that I what should I forgive myself for? Is it for my lack of maturity?
Mm.
Why? Just
Mm.
let it
Mm.
be. I will not ask you any more questions. It's done.
Yes.
Okay? Keep your mind as clear as possible.
Right.
Stop those thoughts. When
Right.
you do that, Valeria, you
Mm.
are able to look at the things at hand.
Yeah.
When I stopped all this questions that I don't know what the answer is,
Right.
I realized that I have people around me to look after. To I have lots of pets, so
I heard one of them, the dog. I heard the dog barking. I have a
you
dog
can
too.
hear. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's
She's a
okay.
bit
Yeah, I love
ballistic out there
animals.
right now. Yeah, I I I learn a lot from them.
Yeah. Oh,
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
They are always at the present.
Yes. Yes.
I
So
don't see them, I do not know what's in their mind.
true.
It's but very simple thing.
Yeah.
Every moment, if they don't see me for 1 minute
Yeah.
and then they see me from somewhere, it's
Yeah.
like I've been missing for 10 years.
Yeah. Right.
How can you exhibit such joy if you're
Yeah.
not in that present moment?
Yes.
Every time you see your mama, your fur mama, I call myself the fur mama. It's a different
Yeah.
thing altogether.
That's cute.
I'm so excited. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. Mama is here. Mama is here.
Yeah.
How can you exhibit that sort of a joy if
Yeah.
you're not at the present moment? Don't you think they
Mm.
teach us a lot? So
Mm.
these are all life experiences. If I'm always questioning, I should be like
Yeah.
this. You see, I should have done this better. You will fail to see that thing, that
Yes.
love that people are actually already giving you in
That's
this
true.
very moment.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, Valeria.
It
When
is.
you're ready to accept it, that awareness kicks in, nothing else matters.
That's true. That's
Hmm.
it. Yeah. Beautifully said. Clearly and beautiful. Yes. And, you made me think about forgiving myself. Um, Speaking of that, I remember when I was going through, for many years, I'm 46 now. When I was about 37, I remember uh, being depressed to the point of having suicidal thinking. And that's when I became aware of those thoughts. They were really extremely negative, and I didn't remember having any of those thoughts before. They're really heavy. So in that moment, something happened within the mind itself, and it shifted, and something said, "You are fit for joy." That's why the name of my website's Fit for Joy, and everything has to do with Fit for Joy, because now you kind of, I'm kind of going back to that, the idea of connecting everything. So I was holding on to the past so tightly that I couldn't be joyful, I couldn't be happy. It was impossible because I was always in the past blaming what happened to me that caused me not to be happy in this moment. So when that came, when I was in deep depression, or I don't know what they call it, some sort of a, almost like clinical depression, was really bad. That's when the mind shifted and said, "You are fit for joy. You are ready. Now you can be always happy." And then something was released in that moment, and then that's when my life changed. That was, wow, almost 10 years ago. How interesting. So we're almost at the end of the conversation, and I have, let's see, the impact of parental narcissism. There's anything else that I left unsaid here? I know there are some other points that I probably, yeah, the journey of healing and empowerment that you have been speaking of. So you talk about the strategies, the coping strategies, and then you just now said that beautifully. You have been saying just being in a moment, the forgiveness, empathy, and being here now, that will really release a lot of that. And the focus, I love how you talk about the attention. Just instead of trying to understand other people's minds, we need to understand our own minds. Just be here present with ourselves. That's really a powerful and empowering message and practice. There's anything else? I know that you had the concluding thoughts. Anything else that you wanted to add within the topic of parental narcissism?
The journey to healing, Valeria,
Yeah.
in parental narcissism always comes to an obstacle where there will be a point where an obstacle might occur,
Yeah.
if we can coin it the term, the barrier there. There's always these three emotions that we've identified: guilt, shame, and fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we became people pleasers due to parenting our parents,
Right.
there's a lot of guilt involved.
Mm,
And when we want to come out of it, guilt will always try to pull us back.
right. Oh,
Am I doing the right thing? Maybe it's not. They're my parents after all.
yeah.
We guilt trip our own self.
Yeah.
They have done that to condition our mind. We have to recalibrate our mindset in that sense.
Yeah.
And also shame.
Yeah.
Talking about parental narcissism itself is a challenge.
Mm.
As my name suggests, Praveena, as in this human form, I'm an Indian,
Yeah.
Asian,
Yeah.
and this parents are God notion is very much embedded.
Yeah.
So it can be misused in that sense.
Right.
When that happens, for me to speak out about this itself is a shameful thing. It may raise eyebrows. Lots of people have asked.
Yeah.
But my justification here, I do not need to justify because I when once you're in love with yourself, societal perception doesn't carry
Mm.
any meaning to you.
Yeah.
But for the sake of the conversation,
Yeah.
is being a parent stems from love,
Yeah.
and love should be unconditional.
Right. Right.
So when a parent gives you unconditional love, whatever that they reprimand you for or they scold you for, or they, sometimes they may reprimand you in a harsh manner.
Yeah.
But when that intention comes from love,
Yeah.
it is not narcissism.
Right.
When you're able to analyze that intention, that the intention is not from love, it's something conditional, it's a
Yeah.
transaction,
Yeah.
that's when we coin the term narcissism, by the way.
God.
So shame is one thing. To come out of shame is one another major step. And finally,
Yeah.
fear of the known, as in what would the parents do. I've
Yeah.
dealt with malignant parents case where the parent will try to hurt the child.
Wow.
No, they will try to defame them. They have this campaign, smear campaign, we call it. So that is one thing, that fear of that, or
Yeah.
also the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Sometimes we consider ourselves um, that's product of karma and things like that, and we fear the unknown. Oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm supposed to sacrifice for my parents, but now I'm doing this, so it's going to be it's going. I'm going to be punished,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we don't even know whether that's true or not, Valeria. If we've never
Right.
experienced that, right?
Yeah.
So these three emotions are the biggest barrier, and my program addresses how to get out of these three emotions seamlessly. It would be a seamless transition.
Talk to me about the program that's found. Where can we find that on your website?
Yes. So there is a 30 minutes transformation session call when you go to my website. You just have
Yeah.
to click on the link, and let's talk.
Yeah.
I will always emphasize this: let's talk.
Yeah.
Because in this journey, this I'm blessed to be experiencing this. I'm kind of happy right now. I can talk about any particular scenario with acceptance, with a smile on my face,
Yeah.
although in that time it was so painful.
Right.
We can coin whatever terms that we want, but right now, to be in this very moment, it requires a shift in
Yes.
your consciousness.
Yes.
And I am very enthusiastic to work with people who would want to come out of the situation.
Yeah.
When I started this, I've met many people who would just like to vomit out their sadness.
Yeah.
They like to parade their party.
Right.
As
Mm.
a spiritual master that I know
Yeah.
called it pity party. They throw the pity party for themselves,
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
and they use me as that. So they and I asked, what do you want to do about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
They just want to vent out. I would
Mm.
like to work with people who say enough is enough, I'm done, I
Yeah.
want to come out of it. Tell me what to do, how do I get out of it,
Mm.
and I will pinpoint the exact path,
Yeah.
what you need to do to come out of it. Just
Right.
hold my hand, and I will guide you along. But you must be ready. Only when the receiver is ready and open,
Yeah.
that's when this energy will flow to you.
That's true. Yeah. The guide will rise, will come, will appear, and that's so true. So this is can be found. So your program to be in contact with you. I know you have on your website a link, a page for to book a free transformation session. So the calendar
Yes.
link is there too. I've seen that.
It's called the Narcissistic Victim Empowerment Technique,
Uh,
NVET.
yes,
So there's an N and a VET, simply
yes,
because
I
the
saw.
term vet is
Yeah,
animals and things like that. So it's
yeah.
it's
Yeah. Interestingly, right? Speaking of animals earlier, that you love animals and all that too. So that everything comes
yeah.
together. So yes, so have the link, your website link on this video profile, interview profile, and also the freebie too, the download of the practical guide that will be there as well. And to end the conversation, I want to thank you again for this beautiful presence and much needed presence in this reality to ease this unnecessary suffering, as I call it, has been my own experience, and I still see that around me. So it's beautiful to see people like yourself just kind of healing, finding your own liberation, and then passing that gift to others. It's truly, truly beautiful. Thank you so much, Praveena. I want to thank you again.
Thank you, Valeria.
And before we say goodbye for today, I have this question here. So your website I'll have there, Praveena.com. That will be on the interview profile. But the ending question will be this one. What three experiences you wish everyone to have before they lose the body, before they die?
What three experiences?
Yes, yes,
Three.
yes.
Interesting. Before they leave this body,
Yeah.
just to experience this body.
Hmm.
I let me just say it in layman's terms. First, to experience what's in this body. How much can your body go through? I'm
Hmm.
not talking about suffering or things like that. So let me
Yeah,
just give an example.
yeah.
I would like to do things that I've never done before.
Right.
Maybe rock climbing,
Yeah.
maybe yoga, because I'm
Mm.
really bad at yoga. I'm a
Yeah.
very inflexible person.
Yes.
So I just signed up for some classes
Yeah.
to be flexible. I know I'm going to torture myself, but it's all right. I just want to do
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
To explore the full potential of your body,
Yes.
to explore this
Yeah.
world around you.
Mm.
Traveling and things like that, and
Yes. Yes.
that includes different culture, food, and exploring the world in that sense.
Oh, yes.
And to quieten my mind, to
Yeah.
be able to leave this world. Even I don't know how death will come in. It could
Yes.
be a sudden thing.
Right.
I probably will go in my sleep, or it would be sudden. But
Right.
in whatever circumstance, at that point, I am in peace.
Yes.
This is the moment I would like to be in a
Yeah.
state of peace when I leave.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the
Ah,
three things: experience your body's potential, experience this world, and be able to quieten that mind. Be
yes.
able to accept that moment. Whenever it comes, however it comes, I am ready. I'm
Hmm.
done. That's
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So, my favorite quote, which I always put in my email as well, is to live life like there's no tomorrow.
Right. There's not even another moment, another second. Right. I hear wisdom there, timeless wisdom. Thank you so much for being open to life in a very wise and beautiful way. Thank you so much again, Praveena. And
Thank you, Valeria, for this
yes,
opportunity.
we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Bye bye.